And we're live.
Hi! How are you? Welcome to our weekly Facebook Live. We do every Wednesday at 9 p.m. And it's great to see everyone. There's so many comments already. Of course, this is the week that we discuss Ireland. That's a terrible Irish accent. I apologize.
That's a little better.
It's getting there. Maybe a little bit. A wee dram of whiskey could help, don't you think?
A little.
I know that might be going into British.
Yeah.
Anyway, so again, so many great comments already because our episode this week is Ireland, actually, County Donegal, and I think I just pronounced that correctly. Yes, no, it's like Donegal. They put the emphasis on the third syllable, which is really hard to do, or Donegal.
But you went to Mayo, right?
Mayo and Sligo
yeah.
and Donegal and I think I just changed the pronunciation.
You're back.
So I'm back to being American. I always put the emphasis on the second syllable. It's who I am. Anyway, people, I don't have to tell you, Ireland is just beloved by everybody, and of course the United States has such a phenomenal connection to Ireland, and so many people live across the Atlantic, the pond, as they say, and if you're from Boston, you know that people talk about your parish. You have similar parishes, and so there's always been a great connection to our country and theirs, and I have so many great memories because I started traveling there with Passport to Europe, and it's always the easiest place to shoot a travel show. In fact, I kind of always jokingly say to our fellow travel hosts, we all know each other, it's like, if you can't do a good episode in Ireland, you shouldn't be hosting a travel show, because it's so easy. And what I mean by that are people are lovely. Everything they say is this beautiful soundbite that's perfect for camera. All of them are storytellers, and they just give their hearts to you, and they open up their homes and their culture and their lifestyle. And so it's so easy being there. And so for this episode where we shot there, it was my first time being back with my own travel series, I really wanted to make sure that storytelling was prevalent, that you literally began the episode and the episode just picked you up and didn't let you go down and just dropped you off at the very end, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, it's over. And the Irish just know how to do that so well. We were able to connect scenes beautifully from one person that we were focusing on to the next person, and you'll see that in shots that we chose. You'll see that in rhythms and patterns from step dancing, not step dancing. Help me out. It's not step dancing. River dance. What's it called? People, help me out here, please.
Is Michaela
on? Is Michaela on? Oh my gosh, she would be so embarrassed by what my. Oh my gosh.
Why don't I change the subject real quick? Here's our drink for the evening.
I haven't even begun drinking, and I'm already going up. Yes, this doesn't look Irish.
This is the Irish Negroni, and it's.
But you give me bad ice, we are not friends. And so, do we have the dancing? Oh my gosh, please. Irish. Okay, so I was right. Irish step dancing. Yeah. Yes, Irish step dancing. And so we were able to connect. And I think I've talked to you guys before about how one of my pet peeves is voiceover. I don't like doing voiceover. I don't like connecting one scene to the next with voiceover. And voiceover is something like, after I visited the cliffs of Moher, I want to make sure that I wanted to have a properly pulled pint of Guinness at such and such pub. And so what we try to do is connect what one person was saying to what the next person we were visiting was saying. And so you'll really see that beautifully done here. This is one of the few brilliant episodes that David Dean did not edit. He sees everything in the end, so his touch is always there. But we had another editor on our first season, whose name escapes me now as well, and I apologize. So this was a beautifully shot show, and it was a beautifully edited show. And again, I have so many stories about Ireland, and I would have to say that everything I know about being a good conversationalist, I learned from the Irish. I clearly remember when I was there for Passport to Europe, shooting a show, and I was standing just waiting on a street corner, just waiting to cross the street, and an older gentleman was like, "Oh, well, I can't believe the bus isn't here. Have you gone to that? What are you doing last?" And I was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh, you're not from here, are you?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm from the United States." "Oh, the United States. Oh, New York. Oh gosh, I have this." And we sat there for, I don't know, 20 minutes having a great conversation, and I was just literally trying to cross the street, and I just realized just being friendly gets you so far in this world, and people really are conversive. And before that, I was really more, as a host, an observer, and I always just kind of wanted to be on the outside looking in. And Ireland and the people of Ireland just taught me that no, you want to get in there, and you want to talk to people, and you want to find out what they're about, and it's actually not that hard, and you just kind of have to go with it. And so the Irish are wonderful in that way.
Just to interrupt you. So when I went around, I had to run downstairs to grab something, and when I came back, the system was saying it had stopped, and it looked like we're back online, but I don't know what happened, but I turned my back for 1 minute, and it cuts off. So anyway.
I know, I'm terrible.
But there were some comments people were asking about the drink again. So this is the Irish Negroni, and Negroni is real easy. It's 3 parts, equal measure, Campari, red vermouth or sweet vermouth, and then usually it's gin, but in this case we substituted it with Irish whiskey, and then a nice little orange peel.
We are going to hear it from the Italians.
And it's a really simple cocktail. That's the best thing about Negroni. It's simple.
It is
equal
simple.
measures, just third of this, third of that, third of this.
And there's a funny story behind this. Should we tell them what the real name for this is?
Sure.
I'm fine with that. We call this, wait for it guys, I'm going to swear. Sorry, I know everyone thinks I'm like wholesome. I swear like a truck driver. I really do. In my household, our household, we call this the jackass.
Yeah.
And there's a very funny story behind this. I love Negronis, and I believe I was coming home from one of my, do you hear the siren? It's New York City. I was coming home from one of my trips to from Asia, and those are long, arduous, grueling transitions, right? From getting to an airport, getting through customs, flying, and 12-hour flights here, another 8-hour flight here, and finally you land at JFK, and then you gotta find your car, get in your taxi, and I had a really bad driver. Usually, I think I said this last year, I kind of get in fights with my drivers because I'm so tired, and then they say something like political or whatever. I'm just like, whatever. I just want to get home. I haven't been home. This was before kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even then, I just wanted to get home. And you're even at like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, still traffic, and you can't get home. And finally, I get home, and I'm like, I'm gonna make myself a Negroni because I'm like this, right? I need to calm down. So we have, at any point, we have like 30 bottles of liquor. At any point. At least.
That's
it's crazy.
That's our low water mark.
We're not even big drinkers. Well, I guess I'm not a big drinker. But so I'm just trying to find, and I can't, and every drink I'm trying to make, whether it's like a gin and tonic, we have gin, but we don't have tonic. Okay, now I'm going to make a vodka this. Well, we don't have this. We have vodka, but we don't have this. And so I just started pulling out bottles, and all of a sudden all the bottles from the bar started to slowly make it to our island of our kitchen. So there's like 20 bottles, and then I'm like, I want to make a Negroni. So I'm like, okay, what do I have? Campari. What did you say? It was Campari, equal parts Campari, vermouth, and
well, that kind of ruins the joke.
Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I just, in the end, I put something together, and I go to bed. And I'm mad because I'm like, I can't believe we have all this booze and I can't even make myself a proper cocktail.
I think I need to finish the story.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So at 2 a.m, I'm asleep, and I started hearing these banging of bottles and just banging loud noises. And I'm like, we agreed that we would just talk in the morning when she, when I woke up. I'm like, what is it? So I wake up the next morning and I'm like, what was going on last night? Like, it was just banging, all these bottles, and like, it was just all this glassware being slammed around at 2 a.m.
And I was like, well, I'll tell you. And I was still upset.
Yeah.
Because I'm still tired. I'm strung out, jet lagged.
Yeah. She's like, I want to make a Negroni. We have all this liquor here. All this liquor. I can't make a Negroni. What is going on here? I wanted to make a Negroni. I couldn't make it. That's why I was so upset at it. Like, what are you talking about? There's the Campari. There's the sweet vermouth. There's the gin. You jackass.
No.
Yeah.
See, now you need me to say it because I remember.
That's what I said.
You goes, this is this. And then he just looks at me and goes, you're such a jackass, Samantha. That's remember?
Okay.
Yeah, that was how you said it. because it was perfect.
Yeah.
Because he was right.
It was all there.
And that's when you know you've married the right man. When they can call you names like that, shout profanities, and you're like, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So that's what we call it. But this is Negroni Week, and I believe Campari USA is running a donation, like a crowdfunding, where all the money they'll match up to $200,000 to go to service workers. I think there's one up to $1 million bartenders, and hey, we got to rally around the restaurants and the restaurant workers. And I feel like, you know what, if anyone did really well in this pandemic, it's the liquors, it's the liquor stores and actual liquor
not
itself.
The bars, but the liquor
exactly.
stores,
So they could help out. I'm pretty sure. You did really well. I always feel like the people who did really well in the pandemic should just look at who didn't do well and how they could help them. How are we compatible? How do we help each other? And because there are people who did very well, are doing very well during this still very uncertain time. I'm going to get off my high horse. Cheers. Yep.
You know, my favorite Ireland story, the first time I went there was in 1995.
Ooh.
And I was in Dublin for like a weekend. And I went with these other people I didn't know that well, so I kind of split off from them pretty quickly. So I'm in this pub, and like first Irish pub, really enjoying myself, like having a pint of Guinness, and like I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
And I start overhearing these two old timers that probably have been in that pub since they were allowed to drink.
It's 15 and a half.
Arguing about where the River Liffey starts.
Oh, that's perfect. And in that like, Irish, and that accent,
the River Liffey runs through Dublin.
Yes.
And it's like, and they both were like, no, it's up a hill. It's
up a hill now.
And it was just like, oh no, the River Liffey.
Oh, yeah.
It starts down the brook. And it was just like, it's like somebody paid them to give me this experience because it was perfect. Like, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I think being in Ireland, and so many of you made comments about, I think we had 200 comments before this even started. Just people who have been to Ireland, all over Ireland, and love it. Now, like Kevin said, most of us go to like the Ring of Kerry. We go fly into Dublin, maybe Shannon, do Galway Bay, beautiful areas. But we chose to do, like we usually in our series, kind of the untouched areas, because Ireland can get pretty, before the pandemic, everything we talk about in terms of tourism crowds is before the pandemic. Ireland and Ring of Kerry could get really busy. A lot of tour buses, and actually, even then I was there, and it was perfectly wonderful. But if you go to northwest coast of Ireland, wow! I mean, just phenomenally rugged landscape. Just it's a fantasy. It's an absolute fantasy, the landscape, and there are zero crowds. And what's cool is you fly into Dublin. I believe we flew into Dublin, and then we had like a 4.5-hour drive to this area, and we actually went through Northern Ireland, and you could go through, and they're like, oh, and I remember the driver, I was just like, wow, we're going through Northern Ireland. It's like, oh, we're now we can, we have a good relationship now, and so just like, so much of it comes back, just Northern Ireland, and we've come so far, and so hopefully we'll be going back to Ireland soon, and because Kevin is Irish. You're from the County Cork area. You're people.
The O'Learys are.
The O'Learys are. I know because
I'm from Brooklyn, New York. That's how I see it. But the O'Learys, the Clan O'Learys come from Cork.
Well, when I was in the County Cork, and they drink, what do they drink there?
Beamish.
Beamish, but no. And then what's their Irish stout?
Beamish.
Okay, all right.
Murphy's name?
Murphy's. They drink Murphy's, yeah. So they don't drink Guinness there. But I remember being in County Cork and seeing O'Leary, that name, everywhere. And your clan has a BMW dealership.
Yeah, that's right.
So I could have done really well.
Actually, I think it's called Kevin O'Leary High Performance Motors, and like Porsche, BMW.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Kevin O'Leary in Ireland, if you're watching, well, I wouldn't even have to change my husband's name.
I'm done with that. So before we get started with Ireland, just a few kind of housekeeping things. Talking about going back and having a European experience. Just to mention that.
So many great. This is the time to dream about travel. And I was telling Kevin, 2021. Wow. I mean, once once New Year's Eve hits, it's gonna be like, okay, where are we going? Where are we going? Because we know the vaccine is imminent. Yet we don't know how widely it will be distributed. But I do firmly believe that with testing and the rapid testing that's coming in, and like the paper tag, just all the technology and innovation behind testing, we'll be able to travel sooner and feel really confident about it. And this is one that I'm so looking forward to doing because we could not do it this year. And that is, are we going to still take your brother? We better still take your brother.
I hope so.
Yeah. I'm going to take your brother and my sister-in-law, and just traveling through Bordeaux on a river cruise. And this is Ama Waterways. I'm a godmother of one of their massive, beautiful ship, the Ama Magna. That's on the Danube. But this is through Bordeaux. And I've been on 3 of their cruises so far. And what's so wonderful about river cruise is that you literally just slow to the pace of the river. Like the river completely dictates your pace, your heartbeat, your just being. And being on that boat, you're still firmly connected to the land that you're traveling through. And you're seeing it on either side, and it just changes by the minute, slowly. And just to be up there on with a glass of wine, which I assume they have in Bordeaux,
Pretty
right?
Sure.
Yeah. I can't wait. The other reason why I can't wait to go on this particular trip is it'll be the only trip on Ama Waterways that I wasn't there shooting. So I'm gonna get drunk.
Good. I hope so.
I always go to bed by 9 p.m. and that's really when it becomes beautiful, because you're out there, the stars are out, and you're just on this river cruise, and you just hear the slow lapping of the water, and you're seeing the steeples go by, and maybe someone's still on a bike at 10 o'clock at night, and it's just, it's absolutely magical. And even with, my crew, we just had the most wonderful time because it was just so relaxing. Again, small groups, which is really perfect, incredible staff, and it's just going to be a really special trip. So I hope you can join me. Look it up, just see, put it in the book, put it out there, put it out to the universe, and hopefully we can see each other on the Ama Waterways.
Yeah, and besides being at the cocktail parties and stuff, you do a couple talks during the cruise.
Yeah. I wake you up every morning. Yeah, I'm on the announcement.
When you're trying to find your room.
Exactly. Boom. Oh, sorry.
But also the river cruise ships, they're so much smaller than an ocean cruise ship that, the social distancing's easier, and it's just you're going to smaller places, not bigger places.
Smaller places, and what we, always really promote on our show, you're really, they're buying all of the talent, the entertainment, our locals, right? You're using local guides. All the money stays in the communities that you're going to, which is really, really important for me, anyway.
Yeah.
So please look it up, and hopefully you can join me.
And one other thing to mention, for October 1st, I gotta look at my little notes here. Samantha's hosting a really cool thing, a fundraiser for the iBank of New York. And we're celebrating Austria, and it's a really cool thing where it's a virtual wine tasting, and there's a food segment, so it's about an hour long, from 6:30 to 7:45, I think, on October 1st. We'll be posting tomorrow on our Facebook page, so you can look for it there in links. But it's a fundraiser for the iBank in New York. We've always supported them for 20 years now, and
incredible. Do you want to describe what the iBank does?
Yeah, it basically is, they work with eye tissue donations and help graft that back in, and for people that have corneal transplants, that's where all that tissue comes from, is from the iBank, and they're one of the leaders in the world in that space. But just like everything else, it takes money to make the world go around, and they have a lot of costs for what they do to do things properly. So we're gonna have a really fun night talking about Austria and Austrian wine, and there's a cool thing when you go to the website that you can order the wine to be delivered to you, and then you actually have the wine that the sommelier will be talking about, and then we have a chef that'll come in and talk about how to make some cool Austrian food. It's gonna be a fun night.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right, shall we get to?
I think we shall. Yeah.
Ireland. All right.
Are there any questions we need to answer, you think?
Nope.
I don't want to leave our.
Yeah, and again, I think there's been some issues with the internet, but I feel like we're okay now. Again, I apologize. People keep asking about the drink. Again, Irish Negroni, just substitute Irish whiskey for gin. Really easy. And when I say real easy, it's real easy drinking. That's real easy. So let's.
With tissue donations and.
All right, so let's get the party started. What do you think? All right.
It's one of the most beloved nations to visit, and yet few travelers make it this far. To an untamed and breathtaking corner of the world where the landscape is more than beautiful, it's powerful. And the people? Oh, the people. It's at the edge of a country and a continent. This is the northwest coast of Ireland. I'm Samantha Brown, and I've traveled all over this world. And I'm always looking to find the destinations, the experiences, and most importantly, the people who make us feel like we're really a part of a place. That's why I have a love of travel, and why these are my places to love. Samantha Brown's Places to Love is made possible by
Europe is a treasure trove of fascinating history, rich culture, and renowned cities. Ama Waterways River Cruises offers a way to see all this wonder in person. You can discover more at amawaterways.com.
You can just walk out. It's so beautiful.
Away.
Absolutely beautiful. So Ama Waterways is our sponsor. What you're seeing the sponsors right now
is the smell of fresh pine.
Season, and
it's a place
really
where giants still live.
To a lot of people's experiences coming back this summer.
Away is where the farther down the road you go,
we were hooked, and even our kids
the closer you get to the ones you love.
Oh.
Good.
Was I talking to myself again?
The Republic of Ireland has one of the most epic drives in the world. The Wild Atlantic Way. It follows the country's western coastline 1,500 miles from stem to stern. I'm following its curves along its untamed northern half, starting in Sligo. We all know and take for granted how beautiful all of Ireland is, but one man in particular wrote about it in a way that makes us all long for it.
This is the quintessential Yeatsian landscape, to use big words. We're looking out on Lough Gill, and there are 4 of the early poems in this very view itself. There's the Fiddler of Dooney, there's the Stolen Child, and then just behind where the mountain tips down is the Lake Isle of Innisfree. And then the whole area, everything that we see in this landscape, was part of the Hazelwood estate. I went out to the Hazelwood because a fire was in my head, and cut and peeled a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream and caught a little silver trout. My name is Damien Brennan. I'm chair of the Yeats International Summer School, now in its 58th year, and I'm a council member of the Yeats Society. I'm passionate about all things to do with our National Poet Laureate, William Butler Yeats.
What would you think his most popular poem was, or his most important?
Nice question. It's not the most important, but the most famous poem is the Lake Isle of Innisfree. It's off there in the distance on the lake. It is, Innis is the Gaelic word for an island. Free.
Just a point, Samantha has that jacket. She wasn't wearing it, so she's back in Ireland right now.
I'm back in Ireland right now.
It's the Gaelic word for heather, so it's really Heather Island.
It's remarkable to me that looking out at the landscape, looks like it hasn't changed much from what he would have seen.
No,
I don't see any build-up. It's so perfectly preserved.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that the Celtic tiger didn't actually do any damage to the Yeatsian landscape, and indeed the houses that he's associated with here in Sligo are all still here in the landscape. And so 150 years, 152 years after his birth, we still have really the Yeatsian Sligo intact, which we're very fortunate.
So Yeats was one of the greatest poets of the 20th century, but how was he instrumental in helping the Irish understand and be proud of their own national identity?
Through the 1890s and the early 1900s, it was a great nationalist movement, but he was absolutely determined that it should be an artistic movement as well, and so that there should be a revival of the Celtic traditions and the Celtic history and an appreciation of that. He believed if Ireland was to become a nation, which it did by 1922, it should have an art and a culture and a theatre and a drama and a poetry to match any commercial or agrarian success.
And he was a part of all of those
things. He was absolutely at the forefront of that. He won the Nobel Prize in 1923. He was the leader of the pack.
Damien's maternal ancestors have owned this land overlooking the Yatesian landscape since 1824, and now he and his wife give Yeats dinners in their modern farmhouse.
I introduce them to Yeats and to the beauty of poetry. And if you do that in the landscape that inspires it, it gives them such courage to go out and buy a book of Yeats and to enjoy it and say, I was there and now I understand under bare Ben Bulben's head in Drumcliff Churchyard Yeats is laid, or the wind has bundled up the cloud high over Knocknarea, or the Lake Isle of Innisfree, I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree.
Mm-hmm. And so Yeats, this was where his happiness sort of lied and where his poems were constructed, the ones that we know so well. Where is he now?
Where is he now? Well, he's buried at Drumcliff, but on September the 4th of 1938, he finishes what we think of as the last poem, and it's called Under Ben Bulben. Ben Bulben is the great prow mountain gouged out by the ice melting off Europe about 12,000 years ago, and it stands proud over Sligo, it and Knocknarea. And he takes himself back there. Under bare Ben Bulben's head in Drumcliff Churchyard Yeats is laid. An ancestor was rector there long years ago, a church stands near. And he goes on then to give his epitaph, cast a cold eye on life, on death, horsemen pass by.
Just right over to our right is Mullaghmore, and right in ahead of us are the Donegal Mountains, the wonderful Slieve League. And then right behind us we have the iconic Ben Bulben.
Oh, yes.
So that's a great example of just connecting one scene where we're with Damon reading Yeats and him talking about where Yeats is buried, Ben Bulben, and really connecting it to now who you're going to meet, Pranny, here on this beach, and yet Ben Bulben is in the distance. And this is something that we actually didn't know until he started talking about it. And then I think we were with Pranny, she's like, oh, well, there it is. We're like, what? Okay, so then when we got there and started, we understood where we could connect one scene to the next. But that's just one of those transitions we love to do, where it's not just this typical voiceover, the person connects it to the next person, and it's something environmental, it's something spiritual, and you're just, and I should actually stop talking, because obviously these are storytellers, each and every one of them, but we just wanted to make sure that this episode, more than any other, because we can, the Irish are amazing, just feels like you are just riding the wind, really.
Riding the wind.
Riding the wind, yeah.
Good tabletop mountain, they say. I'm Pranny Rattigan. I'm a doctor of family medicine, and I have been enjoying seaweeds and the health benefits of seaweeds since I was a child. Well, I've been actually coming here probably in a pram with my parents, because that's where they used to come to harvest. And then, of course, now, look at me, I'm doing it myself voluntarily.
And you're going to teach me?
Yes,
Wonderful.
yes, I am.
Excellent.
I am.
So what seaweed will we be foraging today?
I'd love you to see the sea spaghetti, but we may just be a little late. I organise Sligo Seaweed Days, which is a really fun day where we go out and we harvest seaweeds, bring them back, and I show people how to cook with them, and then we sit down and we enjoy a really nice meal. So we're so lucky, because this is the subtidal level on this peninsula. We're so lucky to see this.
And I love just seeing it swirl in the water like that. I mean, it's just gorgeous, the patterns that it makes.
It is, it's wonderful. I mean, it tastes so good, it looks so good, and it is so good.
Can you eat it right
now? Yes, you can eat it just right away. Will I cut you a little snip?
Please, thank you.
Yeah.
So I've never seen this before. Is this just like deeper in the waters?
Well, you know, I'm not sure. Do you have it in the United States?
I've never seen it.
I think it might be a European seaweed. And, you know, really,
That is fantastic.
God, I'm so glad you like it.
That's like an al dente pasta.
It really is. It is. And it has the crunch like carrots.
Mm-hmm. That's the wonderful thing about foraging, is that nature just keeps replenishing and you're never going to just deplete a source.
So long as you harvest sustainably. We just take a little bit from here and a little bit from there.
A little haircut.
Yeah, a little haircut, exactly. Now, of course, you can cook it half and half with ordinary spaghetti and have a wonderful sauce then over it, and you have just a real amazing dish.
That is
so
wonderful.
It's so good. This is a deep water kelp.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that is so neat.
So it's so beautiful.
Well,
it's just,
I didn't even see that. You just pulled that out of your hat. That was like a magic trick. Oh.
Yeah, isn't it so beautiful? So that's like the kombu. that the Asians would use for their soups and so on. And again, we just give it a little haircut, and we can take that and make some chips with it or something like that. Our Irish moss is here at this level.
Right, okay.
Well, I harvest you a little bit of that so you can have a look at it.
So just in this little tidal pool here, how many different types of seaweed can we forage?
Oh my goodness, there are about 10 in this.
So Samantha, a lot of people are asking, was it really good?
It was good. I have been eating seaweed off the rocks for a long time. I'm just going to be honest with you. My mom lives in Maine. The waters are pristine. Our son loves just pulling seaweed off the rocks. Yes, it was fantastic. It's fresh. It's crunchy. You taste the brine of that totally untouched, pure water. So yeah, absolutely. Wow. I love seaweed, and it tastes like little pickles, like you feel like gherkins. I think this is later where we talk about one, and it's exactly what it is. So. And
were they different than Maine seaweed? I mean, were there different feeling? Kind of.
I feel like that first one she gave me with that al dente. I've never tasted that one before. I usually have the ones, and we'll show them. It's the little pops. They have like little bulbous, and they pop, and they kind of taste like gherkins.
Area here.
Kinds. But really, I mean, I grew up on the seacoast of New Hampshire,
yes.
So I'm very aware of some of the other seaweed that I saw, and it was always that seaweed, they're like, ooh, and you just kind of squishy, and you stepped in it and tried to get to the beach, and you didn't really like it. But this gives me a newfound respect for a wonderful food source. So even though we're foraging, there's a bit of a farm culture here of when you can harvest, when certain seaweeds come into season.
This is like a garden all of its own. So things come into season and things go out of season.
And this to me looks like lettuce.
You're absolutely spot on. This is one of the types of sea lettuce. You can actually just snip it like this into your salad. Oh. It adds not just flavour, but nutrients. In fact, they've been described as the most nutritious form of vegetation on the planet.
Seaweed is sort of having a moment now.
It is having a moment.
And it's been in your life for many years. So does that mean that people here in this area have been eating seaweed all along and we're just kind of catching on to this?
Seaweed didn't enjoy huge popularity when we were children.
Oh, sure. I mean, you look at it. Yeah. It's a visual thing. This is what I grew up on.
Oh, really?
This is what I remember.
Okay,
like
the fucus vesiculosus, the bladder wrap.
I didn't know the Latin word for it.
What did you call it when you were a kid?
Seaweed.
Oh, okay.
So just about Franny, she gives those tours that are wonderful, and the fact that she's a pediatrician just makes you love her even more. She feels very strongly, but she was very there are things that I don't want to say as a doctor, but there are things that I feel as a person and as someone who's grown up with seaweed. But she has a book out, and all of this information is on our website. We always connect you to people. So every experience that I'm having here in Ireland, you can have. And even Danny, the wonderful reader of Yeats, that farmhouse, and I saw one of the comments about his modern farmhouse.
I think there were 10 comments about that farmhouse.
It's phenomenal, but it's still, when you walk in, it's cozy and warm. So I'd say you'd walk in, it's still, for me, it felt like a more traditional cottage, but those glass windows just allowed you to see that entire area we were actually standing on, looking out over, and he and his wife put on the most wonderful lunch for our crew, and that is a part of his experience. If you go online to go online right now, we have all the information. So when you plan your trip to the northwest coast of Ireland, you can actually have a wonderful meal in that farmhouse and be talked to in that wonderful accent. I mean, I love these accents. Aren't they beautiful? They just make you feel like all is well in the world. So just so you know, everything right now is on our website, Samantha-Brown.com. Click through, it clicks you right to these people so you can start planning and dreaming your next trip.
Down there! Clint! Clint! There! Clint, lie down! Lie down! Lie down! Lie down!
I'm going to lie down. Okay. So how long does it take to train Clint to do that?
It took Clint about a year to a year and a half, yes.
Wow. And what type of dogs do you use?
Border Collies is the only dog that's suitable for herding sheep.
So he's just on alert, essentially.
He knows what's going on.
He's a hard-working dog.
He is a good working dog. The night before last night, it was getting dark and I was caught with sheep on one of the hills.
What's a hull?
Hill.
Oh, a hill.
A mountain. What do you see now if I say,
What are the holes?
Clint, look, look.
Wow.
Wow, it's so cool.
Stay there. Do you know? But that takes a while for to get them.
So to be a great sheep man, what do you have to be?
You have to know your sheep. You have to know your stock, and you know the difference between a good sheep and not too good a sheep.
Well, what is that?
One that's, well, you know, like people. There's somebody not too good and there's some, you know, to look at.
Yes.
So sheep are the same.
Oh, good looking.
Yes,
like
good
in
looking.
appearance.
Yes, and they have to stand properly, believe it or not, and they have to have a nice length with them, etc., and all that.
Why does it matter what a sheep looks
There
like?
you go.
Well, why does it
Well,
matter?
I couldn't look at a bad one.
So we stopped. So he was such a lovely man, and again, that's a B. We were on his property, and that he runs a B&B as well. So you can be a part of the sheep herding experience along with him, and it's called Drum Corrie. Is his Drum Corrie house, and that's Patsy O'Sullivan. I mean, incredible, and his wife Martina. And let me tell you, some of the best scones I've ever had. And I'm saying scones. I usually say scones. But I was told by an Irishman before how you know the difference between whether it's a scone or a scone. How do you pronounce it? I said, I don't know. He goes, well, once you eat it, it's scone. And that's how you know.
Before we start,
his whistle has my dog. Well, Jorlyn, maybe your dog has some hidden talents. Put him to work.
And our awesome producer Michael corrected that the dog's full name was Clint Eastwood.
Oh, I didn't know that, Michael. I did not know that. But Michael, do you remember those scones? Oh my gosh, they invited us in for tea and big crocks of Irish butter and the scones, and oh my gosh, it was so good. But here's the behind the scenes. So I'm starving. And it's been, it's rainy and cold, and at the end, you're out there for like 3 hours, and they've been, and Martina, his mom, his wife, Martina, it's like, oh, come in, there'll be scones and tea. I'm like, oh, good. And Patsy was like, come here, I want to show you something. And so we're right in front of his house, and he's like, I want you to listen to something. And we get into his truck. He makes me get into his truck. So I'm in his truck, and
Boomtown Rats.
No, and so he starts playing me country music from Tennessee.
Wow.
And when he and his wife finally get time off every single year, I feel like he goes really regularly. He goes to like Tennessee and
wow.
and listens to good music. He loves Appalachian music. It makes sense. It's all from, right? I mean, it's all totally. From that area. But he's like, no, you got to listen to this. And we sat there in that truck for like 20 minutes.
Hit my hand.
Listening to music. I was dying for a scone.
They were all gone when you got there.
No, they were all scone. But it was really funny. I was just like, wow. But it was interesting, his appreciation for American country folk music, and so I thought that
awesome.
you appreciate that. Yeah.
Wow.
When you're out driving around Donegal, it just feels like you're in this remote, unpopulated corner of the world. But then, it's not long before you come across a busy town center like the town of Donegal itself, or a stunning beach. And of course, there's just enjoying the road along the way.
Yeah,
There's a lot of just trusting the road will be there kind of thing right there. I've got sheep to the left of me and sheep to the right. Here I am stuck in the middle with you.
But let there be no doubt, when in Ireland, all roads lead to a good pub.
I got sheep to the left of me, sheep to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. That is why I'm an Grammy. No, I don't have a Grammy. An Emmy award-winning host. I would have a Grammy if I was who sang that?
Is that
Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Someone tell us.
not Badfinger.
No, it's someone.
Badfinger?
No, I don't know.
Something like that.
But really funny when I'm driving, and I love to drive. I love manual. And so that car, I'm not only driving on the other side of the road for me, but it is also a stick shift. Pretty good, right? And I love that because I love being really focused on the road, and it's actually really hard to talk to a camera while you're driving, especially when the roads were like that. And for a lot of our road sequences, our shooting, like that scene where I'm actually talking to the camera, Brian, our cameraman, is right there with me, with the camera filming me. And then he just puts on some GoPros and lets me drive. But if I want to talk, that requires Chad Finley, our sound engineer, to be there. And sometimes he'll just put his gear, his rig in the car, and then it connects to the camera. They can put the camera, if they put the camera and the sound rig in the same place, they can record me talking, but I guess they couldn't because Brian needed to get B-roll or something. So Chad was actually in the back, in the trunk of the car. Do they call that the boot?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so he was in the
boot.
The
bonnet's the front, the boot's
Bonnet's the front, the boot is in the back. So while I'm driving, in the back, in the boot of my car, is Chad Finley. And of course, because I'm driving on a different side of the road, I kind of hit curbs a lot because I'm like, you just don't judge it right. Like, oh, and I don't think anything of it, but I'm like, boom, boom. And then just one time I hit like a hedge hard and I just hear this, oh, Sam. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot, Chad. I totally forgot you were back there. I'm so sorry. So he had like some back trouble, poor thing.
And as the executive producer of the show that handles all the insurance, how many curbs did you hit?
I hit a lot of curbs. I left a note.
Road led to one of the best, most remote gastropubs in the country.
Great band. Oh, phenomenal.
This seafood chowder that I'm eating right now, this is what you're known for, right?
Yep.
Beautiful.
This is Chef Enda McDonough and his wife and manager of the restaurant, Marisa. And when they say local ingredients, they mean just down the road.
And we try and get all our seafood locally. So we use Greencastle Pier. So our local fish merchant, he will go twice a week and he will go to the market and he will buy our fish.
Right here from these waters.
Yeah, because we're such a small country pub, we like to involve all our local suppliers and local produce.
We're so lucky that just out the road, they actually have oyster beds and they also export a lot of stuff. So we need to try and use less exporting and more using what we have. One of our chefs in the kitchen, their brothers have a fishing boat. So they've grown up around fish. I go to the pier, I take it off the boat. You know, you have such close contacts that they'll ring their sisters and say, we've just pulled in, we have X, Y, and Z. So I'll just drive down and you know, get it.
So it's that local and it's that immediate when it comes right to the menu.
Yeah, for sure. I have a guy who has lobster pots and he just nips out and gets me a couple of lobsters.
He would jump in the boat and just go out, take a pot
weather
off.
permitting, yes.
That goes for our meat as well, like our local butcher in Carndonagh. It's all of his animals are reared in Donegal.
Why did you choose to stay here rather than go to where, you know, in Kinsale or Kenmare or just where there are huge tourist hubs where you're always going to
We've travelled around Ireland and we've worked around Ireland. And I suppose we made a decision to come back home because we have the experience and the skills, so we wanted to come and settle in Inishowen.
My dad also offered us a field to build a house on, so that sometimes I'm the only daughter, so yeah, that doesn't help.
Don't you love that? My dad, he offered me a field.
What's
to build. He said, because it's like, oh, well, you've been all over Ireland and we wanted to settle back home. And she's like, well, my dad had offered us a field to build a house on. I mean, this is like Brigadoon, for goodness. I mean, it's like, you know, well, that's Scottish, I think.
Irish. It's Irish Brigadoon.
It's an Irish Brigadoon. But it's a book, you know, it's just, you're just a part of an amazing novel when you're in Ireland. That's another phenomenal transition. I mean, this is one of the...
Yeah.
You've never noticed that? Isn't that beautiful? And am I right?
So
Like,
just
you don't
watching
need
you, I've been
music.
trying to figure out all the moving parts.
Tell me if
and
I'm
how
wrong. You don't need me like, after I went to the Rusty Nail in such and such, I then moved on to Ar River. I think we were on the Are? No, that's a river. That's
same trip.
It was the same trip. No, it's similar where we are, but just you don't need that. Like, you just want to be a part of the story. Sorry, I probably should not have interrupted that. That would have made the better point. All right, go ahead.
all comes together to create this incredible fabric. And I haven't got a clue. It is an amazing mechanism.
Your whole body moves with it. I'm Eddie Doherty, and I'll be one of the last hand weavers of Donegal hand-woven tweed.
So Donegal has always been an epicenter for Irish tweed, and especially the town we're in now, Ardra.
Yeah, the town, yeah.
At the height, how many weavers were here?
Well, McGee's had about 140 in my time.
140 weavers?
140 weavers.
You said at your time.
I've been hand-weaving tweed since 1956, 61 years.
And who taught you?
You would be coming home from school and every second person in this village was weaving. And even in the front rooms in the houses in this village here now in the front street.
They'd put you to work?
Yeah, and I would say there was at least about 180 to 180 weavers.
How many now are here?
None. Oh, they're gone.
Well, you are here, but you're
one,
left.
One left now.
Are there different patterns to tweed? Here's the herringbone.
Oh, you could do 100 patterns on those machines. They're all different. There's so many different things you wouldn't believe it. They're fish bones, and they're planes, and they're straight twill, broken twill, and that kind of stuff. But the herringbones are popular.
Oh, how long are your days?
In the winter time, I could weave maybe at least 10 hours a day. Yeah.
You weave 10 hours a day?
That's the time you're building up your stock then.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
You build it up for winter?
For winter, and then we go to craft fairs and that kind of thing as well around the winter time.
And in the summer, what is it, 7,
well,
8?
There's a lot of talking in the summertime. You don't call it work.
People are coming in.
Yeah.
But when they come through your shop, people are looking for something special.
They're looking for special, yeah, they are.
When you are here 10 hours, give me an idea of what you can make in 10 hours, because this is so labor intensive. Is it enough fabric for a jacket?
If I would done 100 meters, I would do about at least 14 throws, 15 throws a day.
Like blanket throws?
Yeah, blanket throws.
15 in a day?
Yeah, at least.
Oh my gosh, you could go up against a machine, couldn't you?
No.
What do you love most about Donegal? It's very different than, say, Galway and Kinsale and Dublin, where most travellers go to. It's a special.
As they say, it's more rugged, the scenery and all that kind of stuff, and we're coastal as well, and I don't think you get anything nicer.
There's a nice pace here as well.
There's plenty of pace.
So this is where...
We never looked for the time or anything else.
I'll do a little back up because that was another beautiful transition as well. But this is where I got this beautiful tweed jacket with the velvet collar at Eddie's. And
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Because a few people asked where you got it from.
That's where I got it. And you're probably not going to like this, but I fell in love with this. I was like, oh my goodness. And I looked at the price tag, and I believe it was something like $275.
What?
Yeah, and so I was like, Eddie, you need to jack up the prices. I'm like, this is a work of art. I mean, it's like I'll show you in the back. I mean, it's just beautiful here. I mean, the detail is gorgeous, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, this should be twice that. I'm like, we would spend twice that. So if you're feeling like as a small shop in Ireland, you're not making the money, it's because you're not charging enough for what are, like, I will love this until the last day I breathe. I will give this to my daughter. I will, like, having an Irish tweed jacket and just so stylish and beautiful. I just was like, the prices were phenomenal. That was very heavy luggage. I bought a lot of wool, a lot of sweaters on this trip. So, and back it up a little, because this is another really beautiful transition, right? And this episode is just one after the other.
There's a nice pace here as well.
There's plenty of pace. Yeah, we never look for the time or anything else. It's all whenever you come home, it's all right.
We're on a sacred mountain, The whole of Slieve League, this is a sacred mountain. There's a pilgrimage here going back thousands of years, pre-Christian times. Donegal is very unknown, and Slieve League, even within Donegal, is unknown. We're very modest, you see. We don't boast about things.
What does Slieve League mean?
Slieve is one of the Irish words for a mountain. League is an Irish word for a flagstone or a flat stone.
So this whole expanse is Slieve League.
This is all Slieve League. The very summit is way over there.
So that's the highest point?
Yeah, just under 2,000 feet high.
Wow! My gosh, I'm not scared of heights, but I think I'm just gonna lean on this rock if you don't mind.
No, lean away. Even rocks need a hug now and then, you know.
I'm looking for a seatbelt. If I could, I'd just snap myself.
No, hold on tight.
Really sad. How high are we?
Oh, we're up high enough now, Sam.
Is that a scientific term in Ireland?
That's a scientific term, yes. High enough and higher.
Yeah. Are we at the? We're not at the highest point though.
No, we're not. We're below 1,000 feet here.
The cliffs of Moher are what?
Cliffs of Moher are just over 700, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, we're over 2.5 times higher.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible,
yeah.
right?
And yet you get just a trickle of the tourists that make it.
Very few, very few. You've seen that yourself today. There's hardly anyone here. We're in the height of the season here.
What an amazing little corner of the world we're at. I feel like I'm at the top of the world and at the end of one at the same time.
You're on the end of Ireland here in ways,
right.
yeah. And the top of the world is right. Slieve League actually is a lot closer to your home than you think, because Slieve League is part of the Appalachian chain. This is the start of the international leg of the Appalachian Trail.
So this was a part of the whole, the same sort of geological happening that created the Appalachians?
The same landmass, a bit before our time, 200 million years ago.
I love a man who thinks I'm younger than I am.
Oh, you're a lot younger than that. So way down south of the equator. And as the landmass moved up north, it's divided apart. We came over here and you went over there.
How would you describe the difference between the people of Donegal to the rest of your island? Because you really are cut off. This is a much more remote, fantastic landscape.
It's like a screensaver.
How do you feel that affects you?
Well, Donegal, you see, is a county that's feels at times it's not in the north of Ireland and it doesn't feel it's in the south at times. So it's kind of in a conundrum. Mm-hmm. So Donegal kind of has gone on its own in lots of ways, you know, which is probably very good in the tourist end of things because it's very untouched.
Yes.
It's very, very as it was hundreds, if not thousands of years ago.
Cheddar wanna do, cheddar wanna do, cheddar wanna do very. Cheddar wanna do sponsa wala matata wanna go janta. Skamaka yenni nana yenni, skamaka yenni very. Skamaka yenni nana yenni matata wanna go janta. Cheddar wanna do, cheddar wanna do, cheddar.
You know, we were going to reach out to the U2 people, but since they're a Dublin band, we decided it wouldn't be the right fit.
No.
And so we went with Maury Brennan, who was way better.
Yeah.
And who's recorded with Bono too. So
exactly.
Mr. Moya Brennan, Ceoltar agus Scríbhneoir is Dúna now.
So I am in a part of Ireland that speaks Irish.
It's Gaelic, yeah.
Gaelic. Our first language.
It's called the Gaeltacht, and our first language is Gaelic.
I started singing with my father Leo here in Leo's Tavern, and this is where Clonard also started.
The whole west coast of Ireland has 3 different Gaeltachts, which is 3 different dialects of Irish as well. So we have a particular Gaelic to Donegal, which is Ulster Gaelic.
Did it always embrace the Irish language?
There were times when it was regarded as a poor man's language, so people were kind of nearly ashamed to speak it in the cities. When we started to sing, we were singing in Gaelic, which was kind of unheard of at the time. And you're talking about the late 60s, early 70s, when my father opened this pub. And, you know, and people would say to us in Dublin, says, you know, you have a grand sound there, but, you know, sing in English because nobody's going to listen to you, you know.
You were very brave.
We didn't listen. We continued to sing in Irish.
Clonard made the Irish tunes and songs very trendy. You know, there's 30 and 40-year-olds now and they're saying, you know, you inspired me because we were listening to you and you were on top of the pops, you know, which was a big
English music.
The English music charts with an Irish, Gaelic song, like was unheard of, and it was just like everybody was like, wow, it's so cool, like, and all of a sudden, we know that song, and it's like, you know, it's really, really, it's quite good.
So before I've been to Donegal, I would have described your music as fantasy, otherworldly. And now that I'm here,
You could see it.
Oh.
Yeah. This is absolutely correct because when people have asked me when I play abroad, wherever, whether it's, you know, in Europe or America or Australia or whatever, they often would have asked the question, well, you know, where did you get the sound? And I said, if you ever go to Ireland, go to Donegal because there is an earthiness here.
And it's not, now I know, it's not Irish music. It's Donegal music.
It's Donegal. It's part of the, Yeah, it's part of the landscape.
This landscape.
And the atmosphere here, and as I said, the earthiness, yeah, very, very much so.
So a part of what you wanted to accomplish with Clonard, it was to introduce your language?
It wasn't deliberate. You know, my father, like he grew up with his parents playing music on stage and traveling around the country. And then he took over the show band that my grandparents from my father's side started. Entertainment was the only thing that he ever knew.
And there was all the young children, of course, us growing up, 9 of
us. I'm the eldest of 9.
Yeah. And I'm the youngest.
You're the oldest of 9, and you're the middle, and you're
five girls and 4 boys.
Wow, that'll age a man.
So my mum thought, how can I keep him at home more often?
Well, exactly.
He wanted a place where there was a stage to bring families in, get people up singing with them. He said every entertainer in Ireland with a name has been on the stage with them, but including all of us.
Cheddar wanna do, cheddar wanna do, cheddar wanna do very. Cheddar wanna do sponso alla matata wanna do janta.
A traveller that comes to Donegal will experience the atmosphere of the music, the arts and the culture that comes from this area.
They'll be well catered for, well looked after.
You're discovering the most unspoiled part of Ireland in County Sligo and County Donegal, and you're discovering the landscape that emerged after the last ice age in its pristine condition.
A traveller coming to the northwest of Ireland, I suppose, is, in a sense, travelling back in time.
When you feel the exhilaration of standing on top of the world, and then the joy of being shown the kindness, hospitality, and humor of people who bring us down to earth, that is when we share a love of travel. And that's why the northwest coast of Ireland is a place to love.
And that brilliant ending of marrying that music as well as the close of the show, bringing in the different voices and all of a sudden cutting out the sound as I'm standing on top of Slieve League, so you just hear that wind. That was, of course, the magic of David Dean. He is incredible at just totally blending music and a scene, so it's not like, now we're playing music. He weaves it in. Weaves. And when just I still tear up at that ending, and I gotta tell you, like, watching that end scene is just when I had that scene with the sisters, that was where I realized just how important the art of the conversation is, and how that has been, up until this past year, has been depleted. Right? We don't really talk to each other anymore. We don't communicate. Maybe we text each other, and how travel is where we talk to people and we learn about them, and we listen to understand and not just respond, right? We're in this society now where we just constantly respond to people. And I just love that for me, that just sitting down and having a real conversation with people and really letting that be part of the show. I can't tell you how really there's no network on television that would allow that to happen. That would be too long. We would need to cut it, cut that out, make it this.
If they were all wearing bikinis, it'd be okay.
It would be okay.
Yeah.
But so just to really let that conversation live and develop, and I hope you felt like you were right there at that table with a hot cup of tea too, just kind of talking with people who speak a different language, Gaelic, and boy, how much I miss it right now, just talking to people. So anyway, that hit home with me. One thing we didn't mention in the scene, and purposefully so, because we didn't want to detract from who we were talking to, is Moira Kelly. Her sister,
Brennan.
Moira Brennan, is Enya. So Enya is their sister, and of course everyone knows Enya, and she went on to be a major pop star. And And I just felt like, well, she wasn't here, and Moira in her own right it's always foggy. All of a sudden there's a mist. There's moss on everything, and so that Clonagh, that's the original band, I believe, and they all kind of came from Clonagh, and went on from there. So, and Leo's Tavern is where, like she said, every Irish musician worth their salt has played. Her father is a legend in the area, and it's out of the way too. You are not in like Dublin. You are not in. You're driving way out and finding this little tavern, kind of for us in the middle of nowhere, but just a really, really wonderful spot. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. It brought back some memories for me.
We have a lot of comments, and a lot of people have been to Ireland. No surprise, it's a really popular destination for travelers. And once you've been there once, you want to go back, and you talk about it. It stays with you. It's one of those places. I've been to Ireland a lot, Dublin mostly, but I've been a bit around in West Ireland and South Ireland. But my favorite, one of my favorite things about Ireland is that, when you go out and you see friends, maybe over a drink, and you just have a great time, and it's just conversations flowing, and everyone's catching up. Kind of what you're saying about the art of the conversation, and it's hard to describe what that is. That camaraderie, the banter, all over a drink. Just the Irish have one word for that. It's called crack. And it's spelled C-R-A-I-C. And it's just, and it's, hey, we had great crack last night. We had a great time. We had a great conversation, great time catching up.
Yeah.
And only the Irish could boil down that whole feeling into one word.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Eskimos have 20 words for snow.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like the Irish have a word,
one word for
a great time had by all with great conversation and banter.
Yeah.
And it's called crack.
Yeah.
And it's like, and there's no replacing that in English. Really.
Yeah. No. I agree.
I've had some great crack in Ireland.
I bet. No. Yeah. I'm sure because he's Kevin's Irish, so he's the talky one. Like, I'm usually the one who's like, okay,
no, you don't.
Bed. Oh, no, you don't. You put the butter on the dish. But no, you have the gift of conversation. Like, you can, more so than me, you could just go up to anybody and start talking to them and find something in common. And
maybe in a pub. That's my natural environment, maybe.
It is. That's what Kevin's standing right now. He has one of those stand-up desks because I'm on a tall stool, but he's standing. And I've always felt like he doesn't have a stand-up desk to be healthy. It's just so it reminds him of being up at settling up to a bar.
Yeah. I never thought about that, but thank you.
That bartender never comes, do they? Always here.
Well, they do sometimes. Hello. Actually, can I have one more, please? Thank you. A couple comments in no particular order. People want to know. Our friend Tanya Hooper-Moore asked where you bought your jacket. You said you bought it at Eddie's place.
Eddie's.
From Eddie?
Yeah, from and it's it's Adra. I have it right here. Hold on. I'm on my website. It's at his place, Eddie's. And if you just go to Tanya, if you just go to our website, Samantha-Brown.com, it leads to it. And I believe they do ship to the United States. I believe they do. And let's see. Slave Lake. Oh, come on.
While you're waiting for that, Lori Dixon asked what month you went.
Ardra.
I think it was July, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. That's July.
It's the same trip as the Bern Switzerland tour.
And if Michael's still watching, he knows there's one shot of where we have all those county road signs, and they're talking about that they're in Gaelic, and we're talking about the language and you can actually see sleet and hail going through one of them. That was like 5 minutes
in July
in Northwest Ireland. Oh, and we did actually cut one gorgeous scene. I mean, this is how we're so spoiled for choice, how tough it is. Right, we actually edited out a scene of me horseback riding on a beach. Well, you could do. I mean, that's how much we had to work with. We're like horseback riding on a beach. I don't know. Like everyone else told this great story, and like me on a horse, who needs it?
I'm pretty sure before we left, though. Yeah. I'm pretty sure before we left, like that was going to be our iconic shot of the whole show.
Of course.
Sam riding a horse on a beach, like amazing. Yeah. And in the end, it was like there were so many good things we cut.
So many good things, and me on a horse was not one of them. However, the absolute joy of riding a horse on a beach is not to be missed. And again, on my website, it's Tulla Bay Equestrian, and you can rent horses, and they take you out on a ride, and you have a view of where they shot at Game of Thrones. I guess they did a lot of shooting up there, and then there's parts, and so it's at the north. It's the most northwest point of Ireland. You look out onto this rock, the beach that you're horseback riding on. So again, just majestic, fantasy-like. But it was just me on a horse, and I wasn't talking. And I was like, I want to hear people in Ireland. We want to hear them. We want to hear their stories. And I just felt like that took time away from that. So yes, so Donegal on horseback. We went. Christina Burns is saying we went in July. Did we already say that?
I said July, Christina. Christina Burns.
Christina
Burns.
I
said that.
Burns. The last time I was in Ireland. So Christina, my stylist, is on Facebook Live right now, and we also were in Galway, probably like 5 years before, and it was probably September or October, so we knew cold, like it's cold in Ireland, and Christina had all these beautiful like sweaters and these just these beautiful cashmere. I mean, my wardrobe was so beautiful because it was Travel Channel money, and they gave a lot of money. It wasn't Kevin O'Leary money.
It's the one thing we missed from the Travel Channel.
It does, like the wardrobe budget was
the money
awesome.
The money was good. They had money for a budget,
but the wardrobe budget was incredible.
Yeah.
And it was just beautiful. And it was like 80 degrees there. It was unseasonably warm by like 20 degrees. People were like, "This is," and there was no air conditioning. And both Christine and I were like, "We're still wearing the cashmere. Like I'm gonna look like I'm in Ireland. Like you can't wear short sleeve shirts in Ireland. One, we didn't have any, right, Christina? We didn't pack that because it was gonna be like 50 degrees if we were lucky. So yeah, we went for it because we wanted to look good.
A few comments about driving. Cindy Scaglio and her husband got a flat tire from hitting a curb in Ireland. Talking about driving with our poor stabman Chad in the back, being jostled around.
Yeah.
I will say though that driving on the west and north, I haven't been in the north, but I'm in the West Ireland. It's driving in general in England and Ireland is it's challenging. It's not insurmountable. You just got to kind of follow the cars. I used to live in London, so I drove there a lot. I got really used to it, but.
You gotta follow the car. Yeah.
Just follow the car in front of you. Where it gets scary is when you're the only car on the road. Then it's like, you kind of lose your confidence a bit.
Yeah. You have to think about what you're doing.
But as you get further away from Dublin, the roads get a little narrower, and sometimes the roads get so narrow that the middle line disappears. That's when you know that it's not officially wide enough for two cars. So if another car's coming at you, you have to kind of figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
But this is a tip that Joanna Terran was saying that. Usually when you get a nice upgrade for a nice big car when you're in the U.S., awesome. I got a cool premium upgrade. You got a nice big Cadillac or something to drive. That's great. Never get a big car when you're driving in Ireland because the roads aren't big. You don't want a big car. So a small car's good. I mean, obviously as much as you can fit your luggage and stuff. But
Chad Finley, our sound engineer, would have loved a bigger car because that means a big would have been a bigger.
You would have hit the curb more.
It would have hit a hedge. Oh, my bad.
Well, my parents have the story. Their friends, there was a group of their friends that were all flying into England around the same time, and they're renting cars and meeting at this place near Manchester, the golf thing they were doing. And one of the couples got a car at Heathrow, left Heathrow, drove the wrong way in a roundabout, and just abandoned the car and just left. They left the car, and I think they went home.
It was just like too much.
Too much. Yeah, I just can't do it.
No,
it's fun. Like you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to really be really present.
Yeah, but I mean it's manageable. It's just you gotta be a little more aware of what you're doing. That's all.
Yeah.
This is a funny comment by our buddy Daniel Kittiero. Daniel, one day we'll meet and I'll get your name right. But
I blame him. We've asked him how many times. This is our 1500th Facebook Live where we have botched and butchered your name.
Quictiero.
And just write it phonetically. I would say Quitiero.
So.
Quiterio.
That could be that could either be Spanish or Portuguese. It's kind of right in the middle there.
Quiterio.
Yeah.
Everyone, write in what you think it is.
Yeah.
Danielle Quiterio.
And Daniel works for WNET, a PBS station in New York City. Lives in Brooklyn.
WNET.
No, it's Annette. Anyway,
We're not
this comment was for our Yeats poet. Just that it's one of those things because you listen to that kind of thing when you try to go to sleep. That what's it called? That
Don't say it. Christine will be really upset. Yeah,
what's
I love ASMR videos.
Yeah, that.
Just people talking. Or I have an iTunes app, which is where iTunes radio, so you can listen to radio around the world. And I'll just listen to French, and it'll just be like, and I just
So maybe he's got a podcast. You could just tune in.
I know.
The Irish.
I thought all the voices though, all the voices are so. And when I'm sure David Dean can chime in as well. Like when I'm listening with the big headphones and helping with editing, I'm seeing a cut come back. You just hear, oh my gosh, and just it's so. Oh, their voices are beautiful, just so beautiful.
And then you do that to Chad, our sound man. Like he's one of the best in the world for what he does.
Yeah.
And then you throw him in the trunk.
Yeah.
And terrorize him.
It's just
you should feel bad about
it's
yourself.
Just not showing who's boss. Showing people
I apologize,
who's boss.
Chad. I had no idea.
I like it when my crew fears me.
Rick Shrewsbury asked, "Is there a lot of seafood there?"
Yeah. I mean, at that pub, they certainly featured seafood. I feel like I wasn't over. I didn't see it a lot. Mussels, definitely.
Isn't there an oyster,
seaweed.
like a Guinness oyster thing in like this further south?
Yeah,
it's maybe not a Northwest Ireland thing, but like.
I guess what I'm equating it to is like living on the coast of Maine, where everything was just one seafood restaurant after the other. Where I feel like it's just all integrated. It's not so. Well, there's just not a lot of anything there, so it's hard to. But yeah, I mean, there's the seafood that's there is all absolutely local. In fact, another scene we cut from this show was Pranny. Her husband's a fisherman and brought back lobsters, and then they cooked them in an open fire on the beach.
What?
And we had the seaweed, and she had some stuff that she already created, so she could see it how it's all. Listen, it was an amazing show. I know. They're hard to do.
Daniel.
All right, here we go. Is this it?
But he's pithy.
Seaweed and seafood. Yeah. That's true. You're absolutely right. It's vegetarian seafood.
Oh, and I think I was right. It is Portuguese.
Portuguese. So how would you pronounce it? Querio.
When I first went to Portugal, I thought they were all speaking Russian.
Like you. I don't know. Cuchillo. You gotta tell us, Daniel. You gotta tell us. You can't.
He didn't. Well, hold on. Maybe it's another page here. He didn't ask the question. Just pointed out it's Portuguese. Maybe he doesn't know how it's pronounced.
There we go.
We got you.
Yep.
We got you.
Yep.
Any other questions here?
I know most people just love Ireland, and looking at the comments, people just miss it so much. You don't have to be Irish to love Ireland, and you also don't have to be Irish to feel like you have family there. As soon as you get there, you're just treated so lovely. I just every time I've been there, and I feel like I've even been there for it was just Passport to Europe. So I started going there in Passport to Europe days, and I just one of my favorite experiences was being in Galway Bay with a fisherman, an oysterman, and he owned also an oyster house right in Galway Bay, and we were just picking up the oysters, and he would shuck them, and we were in waders in the water, and he would shuck them, and I would just eat them right out of the water. And how they enjoy oysters there in Galway Bay, anyway, I don't know if it's the same as you go up the coast, but they take a nice big slice of freshly baked brown bread, slather it with Irish butter, and put the raw oysters on it and eat it kind of like an open face sandwich. And pretty amazing. And then they just brought a whole entire platter of just like 100 oysters, and it was good times, really good times. But I mean, Ireland is an amazing place, and it's also that's what I wanted to look up. I wonder if they're suspended. Well, of course they're suspended now. Americans aren't traveling there, but what do they call them? I always forget what the airports are called. So both Shannon and Dublin airports are have a U.S. Customs presence. So the immigration is there.
I didn't know Dublin had that too.
Dublin, both.
Okay,
I think it was Dublin first, and then all right.
Okay.
And so what's really lovely about that is once you enter any of the two major airports in Ireland, you clear customs there, and essentially then when you clear customs, you are effectively in the United States, and so the plane that you get on lands domestically in the United States. And so if you're flying to Ireland, that's great. It's so easy. Also, you just want to bank a little more time when you are entering the airport in Dublin or Shannon, because it just takes a little longer to get through customs, but nothing like it was going to take you to go through like your first point of entry, whether it was JFK or Chicago, wherever you're flying. Your first a point of entry into the United States is where you're standing in that line for like 2 hours and you're exhausted and you've had a long flight. It's just right there, so it's so easy. And another tip I tell people because of that is it's really nice to fly Aer Lingus then. And I'm not sponsored by them or whatever, but if you fly, you can take Aer Lingus to Paris, you can take Aer Lingus to so many great destinations all throughout Europe. Of course, they make a stop. You connect through Ireland, and maybe you could, put a few days in Ireland as well as you go off to another great European destination. You come back through Ireland, but that's when you clear customs for the United States, and then you land domestically when you return. So it makes things really, really easy to just travel. And those are really nice airports. Also, a great airport story. I think I told this, but I'll say it again. Someone tell me if I've already said this, but when we were there and we arrived in Ireland coming from Switzerland, of course we don't have an EU passport, so we had to wait in the non-EU passport line, and ours was much shorter, but it was taking longer to get through, and we didn't understand it. Our line was like 4 times shorter than the EU line, and yet they were just breezing through. And then when we finally got up to the agent, he started oh no, what are you doing here? Oh, you're a film crew, are you? Well, what are you doing? Oh, well, then you've got to do. Well, I've got a cousin there. Well, now, and do you have someone who will hold your hand on the other side? That was such a lovely job. Do you have someone who will hold your hand on the other side? I'm like, hold my hand. He's like, it's a saying. I'm like, oh, okay. But then we realized.
What are you saying, sir?
Exactly. But we're like, oh, this is why the line is taking so long, because he was literally just having a lovely conversation and welcoming everybody to his country, and he was so excited that we were there shooting their country, and so that there you have it. You can just talk to anybody there.
So our superstar editor David Dean just made a really important comment here.
He always makes an important comment.
I'm going to put it so you can read it.
We submitted Shion for our series nomination, but
Emmy
Sylvia
Awards.
Kaminer preferred submitting this episode for her own directing nomination. And got one. Oh, yeah. That's right. So excellent. All right, Sylvia.
So Sylvia was nominated for a directing Emmy Award. Sadly, didn't win, but it was this episode that was submitted for that. So this is also an Emmy. This is part of our story. Yeah.
I mean, for the two of them to decide, we're like,
yeah,
so good. Shion, it's my David Dean one. Got to go with that one.
And apologies, Daniel, our friend Daniel. I don't know what's going on in my app, but it says you replied back on how to pronounce your name. I can't find it in the kind of third-party app that goes through the Facebook comments, so apologies. We will practice it. And Samantha, not me because I'm terrible at this stuff, Samantha will be awesome at saying your name next week.
Next week, I promise.
Yeah.
How about we make it a drinking game? So whatever our drink is next week, every time, I'm just going to put it out. I'm going to put it out. And as soon as I say, Quitiero, everyone has to drink. A Catrillo, and everyone has to drink. All right, Daniel? That's what we're going to do. Except me, because I still have to speak English. Any other?
Someone asked if we've been to Blasket Island, but I know we had discussed doing the Aran Islands in this episode, and we didn't have time. It was just, we always start any episode with a big list of...
I had been there too, hadn't I? I think I'd already been there.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been to some of those islands out there.
Because some of those islands, it's like, spending half a day to get there back and forth, and it's just, it's
and then if it's socked in by fog, yeah. and then in the end, guess what's there? A pub.
In gorgeous scenery.
Gorgeous scenery, yeah. But it's everywhere. So we're like, let's just stay on land and get the pub here. Actually, we chose that pub specifically because it was a gastro pub. And if anyone's been to Ireland and, before the, like in the 90s, you're like, well, you can get some not so good food, but not anymore. The food in Ireland is so fantastic. Fresh,
All right, so our friend Colleen Casey is jumping in because again I couldn't find this post.
Okay.
So
here's what he wrote.
So why don't you start practicing, Samantha?
Quiterio.
Quiterio.
So we need to know where the emphasis is, though. That's also important.
But the funny thing in Portuguese, it's actually Janj.
Janj instead of Daniel.
Janj.
Quiterio. Yeah, so I think we covered our. We were there in July. We always ship our gear. We lost it again. Did we lose it? Yeah, it's frozen. See. It's back now though. Sorry again. We're having tomorrow. We're getting new internet, so this hopefully is our last dodgy internet night. But yeah, so we always.
You do not want to be in a room when like the internet people come and like all the cable people come, because Kevin knows his stuff, and I feel like most of the people who put in wires just think we're all ignorant, which I am. But like then Kevin starts like pulling out stuff, and they're like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. It's the best. And Kevin even has like a clipboard, because he's a project manager, so it gives him power. So he shows up at the clipboard with a man who also has a clipboard. It's like, whose clipboard is bigger? It's beautiful to behold because he knows his stuff. It's great. I'm very proud of you. I'm always just like, yeah, tell him, Kevin. Tell him about that. What's that? What's a router? I don't know.
So anyway, yeah. So we always travel with our gear, which has cost us crazy money sometimes because we'll travel with 20 cases of gear. Sometimes they're overweight. And I've gotten bills for $6,000-$7,000 a flight just on gear.
But it's I mean that's a lot of money, but you have to have your own gear. Imagine asking a camera person, man or woman, to just like you need to know what so it's
But yes, but we do hire
worth it.
Local people to help with driving and translation if we're in a foreign country or that
He said over the hull. What does that mean? All that translation. You need people to translate Irish. Yeah. Hill. It's a hill. I've never felt like I've felt like a bigger idiot than that, but that was like, oh God, I'm so sorry. Sorry. Lovely people. Yeah,
no. I gotta post this. Thanks, Scott. Yes, this is Scott who never reads, who makes all these great pithy comments about our drink menu and never bother to read the post that really details what the drinks are that week. No, that's funny. But yeah, I'm so sick of this happening. We're actually going to keep cable modem and get the Verizon one, so we're gonna have backup, redundant, blah blah blahs. Just this doesn't happen anymore.
It's all about redundancy.
It's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
It's the one thing I can't control is the internet connection, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So apologies. Hopefully this is the last time we have cutouts.
Kevin, is that a tattoo on your neck? Oh, where do you see that?
What?
You have a tattoo on your neck? No?
No.
Nope.
I don't see that here. All right. I think we've really done this episode justice.
Yeah, I miss it. I don't want to let it go. I really don't. I was looking forward to it today because it's just such a beautiful episode. What do we have next, just so you know?
Great question.
But, it just, Ireland is a special place. This is a phenomenal episode. And I say that taking me totally out of it. Like, everyone in the crew with their incredible cinematography and just... oh my gosh, just wonderful. I felt like Christina Burns could have done a better job styling me.
Wow.
That's actually a joke we always like. Christina could have been better. I think. I'm only kidding. Wasn't that dress, that gingham dress, the black and white dress, checkered? Oh, phenomenal. But yeah, one day someone said, hey, when are you going to have your whole crew on? And we should, because everyone is absolutely instrumental.
Yeah.
I've always said it's an ensemble. With me being the star. No. But it is an ensemble. I love working with people and collaborating, and my team is top notch.
Maybe what we could do is, maybe when you're filming, we could do that. That's interesting. A couple last things. Our friend Karen put the link for the fundraiser that Samantha's doing for the iBank, at our Austria evening, where Samantha's going to go through some of her favorite things about Austria, and then we'll have a wine tasting, and then a food segment about, I think it's schnitzel. It's really cool.
I am not making the schnitzel.
No.
Like a top Austrian chef
Yeah.
will be making the schnitzel.
And if you get in early enough, if you go to the link now, there's actually a link you can go to order the wine to have delivered to your house by October 1st.
I love that. That is a great idea.
So it's 6:30. I think it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern, October 1st, and the 2 wines that it sent to you, and I think the 2 together with shipping, it seemed like it was like $45. I think the 2 bottles plus shipping. I think. But you get to taste it too with the sommelier, so it's kind of a fun. And the other fun thing, the sommelier is actually going to be in Austria, so I'm looking forward to the technical difficulties of that evening.
Oh boy, and the timing.
But she's going to be bleary-eyed drinking wine. Let's hope she hasn't been drinking wine all night.
Good for her if she does. Oh, okay, great.
And there was one other thing.
What are we doing?
Next week is Orange County. Our episode there, and we found some really kind of cool.
There's great things. The whole Vietnamese
kind of
community.
unexpected things because Orange County is. I think if you're on the West Coast, you have your own opinions of what Orange County is. It's it's a lot of things.
It's kind of what we see in in reality television, right? So like Housewives, right? They have a Housewives there, but there's a lot more going on.
Yeah,
really, just
really
a lot
cool
of great
stuff.
substance. So just kind of doing what we do best. You think one thing, and we show you the other thing.
Yeah, and then in 3 minutes at 10:30 on the Crate Network, the season 3's Maine episode is airing.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah, and we talked about the Appalachian Trail when Ireland, Pangea, when the continents were all one big landmass.
Yep.
Well, I think Maine was probably touching Ireland, right?
I mean, you look at the fingers of each country.
Beautiful.
Because, Maine just kind of spindles out, yeah. Hey, thank you so much for a great week. Great questions, great comments. I know Ireland is a favorite of all of ours. And so thank you for tuning in. And we will see you next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night.
Good night.